But we're constantly being told that we can't even afford food, which is a wild exaggeration.
We're not being told, bro. We are not being told that we can't afford. We cannot, bro. What? It's like, bro, you literally go to the store, it's expensive, but this guy's sitting here and telling you that you are being told that you can't afford.
I'm the evidence that you never trust. That we're coming home. Now we're here. Now we're here.
I think the purpose of an economic system is to serve the people who live under it. I don't think it's to feed GDP numbers or make Ben Shapiro's family rich. I just don't believe that. Why would I think that? I don't think that. I'm not a socialist, but I'm definitely not for whatever this is. So I am, I guess, socially conservative and economically liberal or something. I don't know. But I would say that at dinner. I told you this. I say that at dinner. They'd be like, well, I'm economically conservative, socially liberal. And I would say, yeah, I'm actually economically liberal and socially conservative. And they would look at me. That was such a crazy concept that no one ever responded. They always assumed I was like dyslexic and just inverted it because that was, they couldn't even get it in their heads. And over time, I realized it's not just me. It's like the whole country believes that. They don't want socialism. I don't think they want government grocery stores. I'm not saying that. But they definitely don't want a tax code that taxes investors at less than half the rate of wage earners. Like, tell me why that's okay. It's totally unfair and crazy. By the way, it's not the free market. That's a government policy. And you're defending it? And now you're watching them on the internet. I try to stay off the internet, but I did see it today because people I know are like, no, food prices really, they're, food inflation up 30% in the last, whatever, year and a half or something. And you're not allowed to complain about that. Just make cheaper burritos. Now, obviously, I'm...
Can we talk about gas prices? That's even worse.
Way richer than the average person. So actually, I don't even know what food prices are because I don't go to the grocery store. Okay? I'm also a man in middle age. So like I am disconnected. I'll totally admit that. But I know that it matters because you have to eat to live.
Yes.
So anyone who says it doesn't matter, probably my enemy, actually. And I don't care what you call yourself. Well, I'm a free market capitalist. Okay, I'm Santa Claus. It doesn't matter. You're defending something indefensible and ugly. And I'm not for it anymore.
I mean, a lot of people that would defend those kind of things would be people that have money, right? Like they have money, they don't care. But if you really are at the bottom and then you get to think about what you're going to eat, how much you're going to spend on this little grocery, like you go to the grocery store and then you have problems filling up a bag. You get what I'm saying? If you are in that situation, then this will be important to you to fight over. But if you are not really, like a lot of people that will, again, that will fight against, that will fight for, will be people that have money. But he's one of the few that have money that still stand for the price being too high. Not necessarily for him, but for people at the bottom like us.
No, and I feel like the last thing I'll say is, we are so free to say that now. That is the upside of this moment. It's like, I don't care anymore. You're going to call me a socialist? Okay, as the lead anchor on Fox News, I'm a socialist now. I'm a jihadi. I don't even care what you say. Nothing you say is sincere. That's how I feel about it. You're not even grappling with the idea. You're just dismissing it with slander. You discredit yourself when you do that. And I'm not even interested anymore. We need an adult discussion about what the purpose of the economy is. And it can't be this.
No, and you hit the nail on the head, Tucker. And there's one stat I like to throw around out there is if you go back to, let's just say like peak industrialization, peak American economy, I'll pick out 60s prior to everything kind of devolving around the Vietnam War and the LeMays that happened after that. You had about an average disparity between a CEO and a worker of like 40 to 1, somewhere in there, 40 or 50 to 1. Today, it's around 400 or 500 to 1. And it's not socialism to say like, hey, that doesn't make sense. And could things be better for people if you peeled some of that off and increased wages or hired more people? And it shouldn't take a government mandate to do that. It should be in the best interest of people.
You know what I've said, and I'm always going to say this. The goal is not to make you rich. Like, bro, once you understand this, you get to work. Okay, you know what I mean? You get to work so you will be able to afford some of these things. So Ben Shapiro really standing on that is just trash to me. Do you get what I'm saying? So the goal is not to make you rich. The goal is to make you dependable. Dependable on them. So they will, because look, if you are broke, if you do not have food, You get what I'm saying? They play with you. You are a pawn in this game. They play with you. They do whatever they want to do with you. They say go up, you jump. They say go down, you go down. You get what I mean? You bend. They say go left, you jump, going left. Like same thing. You get what I mean? That's what this is. They cannot. It doesn't matter how many years. They cannot make you rich. They cannot help you to gain more money. They cannot, bro. Things get expensive more and more, and we work harder to make more money, and it gets even more expensive, and then we work harder, and then the more expensive it gets, the more time you don't have anymore, because you're gonna have to work harder, longer, to be able to afford what you know what I'm saying? It's not even working harder, it's working longer hours. So you have no time. You don't have time to take care of your kids, man. Longer hours, 20 hours a day, at least.
Well, yeah. What it takes is leaders who don't hate the population,
Yes.
and we've traded a group that had, a lot of problems. The descendants of the people who founded this country ran the country up until fairly recently.
Mhm.
And there's a lot to say about them that's negative. They drank too much, and there's a lot of things about them that I would never defend. However, they didn't hate their countrymen, and the people who run it now really do hate. I'll give you an example. Sure. I have a house, a little cottage in Florida, and I mean little. I mean, I don't know if it's 2,000 square feet. It's like 3 bedrooms. It's literally 3 bedrooms. Okay, had it for a long time. That house, which is
That's little. That's a small house. Only 3 bedrooms. Do you see what I'm saying? Like only 3 bedrooms. Like okay, bro. Okay.
not on the beach. It's not even like 4 houses from the beach. Was built by the president of Chemical Bank. It was like a big bank. It's now part of JP Morgan. It's on the deed. I looked it up. This guy was the president of Chemical Bank. He lived in Greenwich, Connecticut. And so he was like a titan of industry. I mean, finance was not essential to our economy in 1968 when the house was built, but he was still a big deal. President of Chemical Bank in New York City, in Manhattan, Midtown, big guy, right?
Yeah.
And that's the house he built? A 3-bedroom house not close to the beach? What? That's literally the house he built. So imagine now the head of a bank, whatever those are, building a 3-bedroom house that's not on the beach, like a modest little house. Like that is not imaginable, because the whole point of the exercise is to build the giant house on the beach, is to go like 20,000 square feet, marble, gold, or whatever they do now. 100%. The vanity, the short-sightedness, just the venality. And also, I'll just say this as a WASP, the bad taste of the ruling class is like, it's repulsive to me, of course. I feel hostile about it, but it's also so provocative to the population. Like, if you want the Bastille to get stormed, keep acting like this, Dumbo.
Yeah, for real. And, we've seen, it's one of the things that we've talked about a little bit, and I've picked up on recently is, you have and I'm not even picked up on it, but the DSA keeps running candidates that win primaries. There was another one last night in Michigan who won a Senate primary, Abdul El Sayed. And I look at their rhetoric, I look at their talking points, and it is, it's not 100% match, but it's so close to Make America Great Again circa 2016, and then a second iteration in 2024. And I think it illustrates how desperate people are getting. And they're starting to glom on to socialism. And historically, at least, these guys could be different, but historically, it's just a messaging campaign for something different. And it could be we could be heading towards a pretty important pivot point.
Yeah, so that I think about this every single day, and I don't have firm or confident answers to where we're going, because I don't know where we're going. But I think the broad outlines are really clear, and you just described them better than I could, which is because Trump failed and didn't even try.
Right.
Because he's like selling Truth Social posts and made $3 billion as president. Like, it's so bonkers.
It's disgusting.
So what do you get? Every action is an equal and opposite reaction. You're going to get socialism. Now, I'm not even sure what socialism means in an American context. It's usually it's a slur rather than an explanation. So what actually is it? Well, the part that I'm really afraid of are race politics, the anti-white stuff, which has been central to it. And because of the narcissism of our ruling class, which is like the defining fact of our lives, The only controversial statements that Mamdani made that got any press coverage at all were about Israel. He doesn't like Israel. Who cares? Well, first of all, who could like Israel? But also, who cares what he thinks of Israel? He's the mayor of New York. Like, stop with that, Israel. Just stop talking about yourself. But what got no coverage at all was the open hostility to whites, which are still the majority of the population of the United States. And are you really allowed to attack? And he's an anti-Semite. Well, okay, I don't think he is. I know for a fact he's anti-white because he said it. But that's totally cool with the ruling class because they're anti-white too. But what about the rest of us?
Yeah.
So what you don't want is a marriage of, I mean, class politics can be resolved, okay? Because people change classes, at least theoretically they can. You can ascend or descend or whatever. It's not fixed. Race is fixed. You can't become unwhite or unblack or whatever.
Right.
So
Michael Jackson did.
if you hardwire racial animosity into your politics, you get generational conflict that can't be resolved without bloodshed. And that's the story of the world. And so I'm very concerned about that. And also, by the way, it's a betrayal of the basic American promise, which is you're judged by what you do, not how you were born. So I don't want that. But the people who run everything want that. They definitely want that. They hate the whites. And I don't really know why. There's something deep going on there. But, I mean, look what they say. They hate the whites, okay?
They hate the whites? You don't know why? You don't know why. Okay. But yeah, no, I say this, the goal is not to make anybody rich. The goal is to take as much money, as much money from you as possible, man. And your time, suck your time as much as possible. And then get you focused on working long hours. That's the goal, man. That's the goal. It's not to help you to make more money. Nobody cares. They don't care.
The devil said gotta just roll. The devil said gotta just roll. For what does it profit a man to gain the whole world and lose his soul? You can have the money, cars, and girls, and that will keep my soul.